continue to do that year after year after year. Mr. Huss talked about the tax rate going up. I have the sheet here that tells me back in 1992 our tax rate was $19.49. Tax rates, when school districts are cyclical, as you open buildings, they go up so that you can furnish them, you can get them started, then they go back down. That's how it works. I can't imagine what 1949 was in 1992 dollars. We're going to be below that quickly. So this is very achievable because we have very carefully planned, for this future. The other thing, Mr. Graber said something about FF&E, and could have used that to pay for teachers for students. Well, one, I want to know what they were going to sit on, and two, I want to know where they're going to go. Because we just got a report at our last board meeting, and there are not empty classrooms in our elementary buildings that you can just put people in. We need to make sure that the full system is complete. It's not just about robbing Peter to pay Paul. And we've been very careful to make sure this is a very healthy system moving forward, and we can reduce the tax rate because it's been part of the plan.
Okay,
it's just how school finance works.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Mike, you're up.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I guess I've got two quick things on this. You've probably heard everything you want to hear on this, and I don't want to plug you full of numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I'll turn you blue with numbers. But the way I understand this, I'm going to clarify this, and now's not the time, but ask the question. Expenditures per student. If we're the lowest, I think that just means we have too many kids in each class. It's easy. You have 30 kids in a class or 27 kids in a class. It's supposed to be at 25. It's easy to get that number lower if you got more kids in the class. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense to argue about it. Last week I was at a board meeting. I haven't been to many board meetings, and I may be slitting my throat on this thing, but I want to throw this out. I asked the board to get back to me on the expenditures that are planned going forward across the board, and I asked the entire board to get back to me, including Dr. Wentz. Dr. Wentz and George Tracy were the only ones that responded to me. Dr. Wentz sent me this memo dated September 18th of 2010, and I don't know how they voted on it, but the gentleman to the left of me said that they only have $5 million in future expenditures planned, and they may have not voted for all these. I would ask the question, but starting in 2012, there's over $10 million that is earmarked on this agenda that they voted on. I don't know how they voted on it, but Dr. Wentz sent it to me. I want to ask the question. Like I said, I came into this late. These are the questions that need to be asked by every one of you. The other sheet that was sent to me was an overall, this is called the Long-Range Facility Plan, and it's dated 9/20 of 10, update board approval. And the final earmark on this, and it's skewed, don't get me wrong, because it has all the prior projects that are in motion and working. But the final nut on this deal is $233 billion. And this is online, and these are the things that everybody needs to look at, because I do not think going forward as a status quo and attacking these things without revisiting them are going to allow us to lower taxes. I'd love to say that it is, but I do not have a simple answer to that. Just come here and say, I think it can happen.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
And let's see, okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next question then. If this question is to be believed, we apparently are building a second high school. Is that true? As a guy who lives on 18th Street, perhaps I should have known. I'm going to read this exactly the way it was submitted to us. Is the movement toward a two-high school system in fall 2013 in danger? What is your commitment level to the board-approved facility plan? The question is about two high schools and the planned opening in the fall of 2013. Dustin, this is your question first.
Sure. I am definitely committed to the completion of AV Centennial High School in 2013. In fact, I am so happy that we have this audience here that I can just talk about that tonight. I think that that's been kind of like a campaign scare tactic that's been against anybody who wants to challenge the incumbents. I've never been in favor of stopping the building of the two high school system or the completion of AV Centennial High School, so I appreciate that this time to explain that. I've never ever said that. I favor the idea of that we need to increased opportunities for kids, you know, and I also know that it could be extracurricular activities that develop the kids, that develop their character. It can be setting the stage for academic success for them that paves their future as well. And it's those type of opportunities that I want to focus on and make my #1 goal to make sure that we improve the achievement of the kids in our school district and continue to crank out kids that are just going to be willing to go out there and take on the world.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Trent?
Can you rephrase that question again?
Yes. Is the movement toward the 2 high school system in fall 2013 in danger? And what is your commitment level to the board-approved facility plan?
I think it's fairly clear that I'm committed to follow through with what we said. We do what we say, and we're going to follow through with that. We had many votes. I remember Leslie sitting here a few years back running on 2 high school campaign and had the most votes in this community's ever seen. And I remember a challenger running on 1 and had the least votes. So I think we're all committed. I think it is frustrating for me with an actual voting record when I have people that sat a couple years ago saying the exact same thing I'm hearing the challengers, being supported by the exact same group of people, saying that, well, we have no reason to delay or do anything with that. And 2 weeks after there was an election, it was a 4-3 vote not to delay it. So I think when you're saying something, I question if that's really going to come to fruition. Lastly, the question about the facilities that aren't funded that Mr. Rooney had brought up, it's nice to have plans. We can only start building things that are funded. We can only start building Centennial High School when we had the funding. And we had a large group of people that are still sitting next to me that were committed to that. We also had the same group that is now supporting and challenging the plan, campaigning against getting seats for elementary kids. And we had to commit that. We had to commit the savings from Centennial High School to build the Prairie Trail Elementary. We had to commit sales tax up to 2018. That's when it's committed. It's not 2029. The sales tax for 2017-18 are committed to these projects. After that, there will be more sales tax. If sales tax comes in higher than what it did last time, there will still be more sales tax to do some of these projects. But it's nice to have plans, and we didn't have plans before. So I was being beat up for years for not having a plan, and now I'm being beat up because we actually have plans. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that.
Okay, thank you. Leslie, your question?
Is the plan in danger? Well, the facts are that the board has the authority to stop or change direction at any time. So is it in danger? I would say that it's not. If you elect the incumbents, because they've all clearly communicated that they're in support of what's being put in place. My commitment level, obviously, I'm very committed. It's one of the reasons that I'm running again. People ask why you do this, and it's certainly not to make friends, and it's not for the great pay. I'm here to do what's right for kids, and what I believe is right for the community. And if you support that, I ask for your vote. If you don't, and we're all entitled to our opinion, let's just not make it personal. You're all entitled to your opinion. If you feel that the direction is not the right direction, then vote for the other candidates. But I'm here, and I'm committed, and I would like to see through to finish, to fruition, the work that I've worked hard to put in place the last 6 years.
Thank you, Leslie. Brad, your comments about the fall 2013 opening of the 2 high school.
I would say that regardless of whether you're an incumbent or a challenger, the opening of Centennial High School is not in danger. I see it as nothing more than just a tactic that incumbents have used to try to discourage people to consider the challengers. It's, in my opinion, it's a non-issue. Centennial High School is being built as we speak. It's going to be used as a second high school within this community, and to use it as any other building besides a second high school would be a waste.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Aaron, your thoughts?
So apparently we're wasting Northeast because it was a junior high, now it's an elementary building. I want to remind the public that during the last election at a forum just like this, when asked, every candidate said they supported 2 new high schools by 2013. We went through election, we had 3 new board members, or 2 new, or whatever, they were the 3 that were elected, and one of them first day on the job pretty much, voted to delay the second high school. He did mention that it should have been new. He stated that in his meeting. But then later rescinded that when he came up with an alternate plan to reuse the second high school. And it just dawned on me why there was so much interest about reusing the current high school as the second high school. Is because as long as we don't start building the second high school, we can keep it one system. This election is not about these individuals. It's about the collection of the district and the plans. I have here an email that was emailed to me that's a meet and greet for our 4 challengers. It's a who's list of those that don't support the district. Those have written editorial after editorial about stopping the high school or not liking it. So you have to look not just at the candidate, but who are they representing? That's a big, big question here. And I encourage you to find out who they're being supported by and what that agenda is.
Thank you, Aaron. Mike, your question.
If anybody has any questions, who's supporting me, I'll give them a list. I don't think there's any clarifications that's needed on that. To answer the question about 2 high schools, I am fully supportive of 2 high schools. There is no turning back now, but all future plans need to be adjusted based on what we're dealing with. But I'm 100% behind the new high school, and I think that just answers the question.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Mr. Martin.
2 high schools is at risk. I am convinced of that. 2 high schools can only occur if there are 4 board members on September 14th, 2011 that say it will. The story is true in board minutes on October 5th, 2009, less than a month after they were elected. 3 current board members not up for re-election who said at the chamber forum they would have 2 high schools in 2013, all voted to delay and all voted to spend money to expand this building into a mega high school. So let's talk about what a new board can do. The new board can cancel the contract. The building is not done. They have the legal authority to do that. A board can repurpose that building. They can continue to use it as an 8-9 middle school. They can continue moving forward with the 2 buildings at Prairie Trail as a mega one-system high school. This would be a devastation on our community and to the sophomores down, who are half of them wearing Jaguars, and we're in the middle of implementation. We should not be talking about 2 high schools. We should talk about how to properly implement it. You know, it is about trust. The only way to guarantee it is to re-elect the 4 people that have had a clean voting record from day one. I want to point out to Huss, he stated at the same meeting the community was not in favor of 2 high schools, and he petitioned the board to consider a 1 high school system. Do we want people serving on the board that wanted 1 and don't agree with that concept to be implementing it for our kids? The answer is no. And 1 person different on the board can change the whole dynamics, and I believe that in my soul as part of the reason why I stepped forward and said, I'm going to finish it. I have a daughter that is going to be a senior when that year occurs.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, at the risk of being anticlimactic, we're going to change our focus now to communication. Communication is a topic that's been brought up within the community and by several of the people running for the school board, so not surprised to see questions about communication. The question we got was, what is your perception of the current level of communication between the board and its constituents? And what changes would you make? Please be specific, if any. And this question, Trent, I believe, goes to you first.
Since day one, I was on the board 10 years ago. It was always talked about we didn't communicate with the public well enough. We went through 3 superintendents during that time. And our 3rd superintendent, I think we actually got it right. We have a superintendent that communicates very well with the public. It's multiple forums, letters, all those things. We were, if I remember right, it was a split vote on actually funding communication. We now call every parent via phone calling. We can text, we can email. We can push information to our community better than we ever have before. Since 2008, we implemented a communications department. We posted at least 525 direct level district stories, announcements on websites. Anywhere from, and the ones I'm reading, there have been at least 95 to 100 forums, presentations to the community, parents, and students, and I could get a whole list of all those. I think sometimes we over-communicate, because when we're talking about plans and futures and what we're looking at and wanting to do, it used to be when we talked about it, everybody said it was a done deal. So now when we communicate that, hey, these are on the horizon, $50 million in future facilities, we get maligned because, oh, it's a done deal, you're going to waste all our money on $50 million in facilities. That's part of the communication. Every time you pick up the newspaper, there's something from the district communicating. So I think in the past we didn't communicate well. I think now we communicate well. It's an ever evolving with Facebooks and all the other ways we can do better. Parents expect emails and texts and all those things. So one, I think we're doing a good job. Can we do better? Yes, but boy, we've come a long way.
Thank you, Trent. Leslie, your thoughts about communication and any changes you've made?
When I got involved in the board, communication was one of the things that I said needed to improve, and my goodness, has it improved over the past few years. If you want to listen, there's somebody that's willing to communicate with you, whether that be a board member, a member of our administrative team, or a member of the teaching staff. Dr. Went personally, if you call him, he will meet with you. We, as Trent said, hired a communications director, and that person has been invaluable to us. I can't tell you what a service he has done for our community. The publications, the board briefs, the work that he's done to update our website, the materials that he's been involved working to brand our school district as we move to a multiple secondary system. All that work is around the guise of communication. And again, everyone's busy. We're busy with our lives, and a lot of times, if people are happy, they're not paying attention, and I don't blame them for that, because we are busy. And it's until it impacts you that you want to get involved, and oftentimes that's too late. So I would just encourage you to pay attention. We post our board minutes, we post what we're going to talk about, we adhere to those agendas, we don't sneak things in. In fact, we won't allow changes if they're not posted for the community to see 24 hours in advance. We have very few people that come to our meetings, so we certainly provide opportunities for communication. Can you do better? You can always do better. Nobody's perfect, but I feel like we've gone above and beyond to try to get the information out there and involve community and business leaders in every decision that we make.
Thank you, Leslie. Brad, your question.
I think if I could make a change in the way the communication to our community is utilized, I would start by giving more complete, clear information on the topics and the issues that face us. There's plenty of words out there on our website, and there's plenty of places where there's a little bit of information and a little bit of information here and there and everywhere, and it requires the ability to piece together different components from different places to get a real feel for what's going on within our community. I think it's important that we get the information to our community in a high-level form with the ability to drill down in when one of our district members wants more information. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Aaron.
Well, I think in the last 3.5 years, we have implemented and given our community an unprecedented amount of information, and that is fantastic. I would like to be known for over-communicating. It can be information overload, but we have had hundreds of opportunities through forums and surveys and emails and community forums for our strategic planning, our community forums for our curriculum, our community forum and committee even on designing our school calendar. The list goes on. It may not be perfect, but I think we have made huge strides in our ability to express with our community, to hear from our community, and to truly listen. You know, if there's an area to improve, I think we can just continue to find out new avenues. I mean, we didn't have the text messaging, you know, that long ago, even in our homes. So as new technology comes along, you know, there's great ways to meet people where they're at, whether that's social media or however. I think all of those opportunities would be great to continue to communicate to our public. I think we've done a fantastic job getting there. But I think it's important to remember, too, is that it is a two-way dialogue, and you do have to be engaged if you want to be. The information is there, and there are opportunities to ask questions. So, you know, it is a two-way street, too, as well. So.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Mike, your question about communication.
Per communication, I think I would have to disagree with Mr. Murphy, agree with Aaron. Over communication as a negative is kind of an oxymoron. We're videotaping this meeting tonight. I don't know why we don't videotape every board meeting. It should be online. If we can do this tonight, why can't we do this to every board meeting? That way there's a clear understanding what everybody said, it's on the record, and it is plain as Jane what is going on. When you read it in writing, everybody can take a different look at how things go on. Second, communication with the teachers, I think, is something that needs to be improved on greatly. I'd like to thank the Yankee Education Association to recommend me and 3 other people up here. I'm sure they're very grateful as well. And one of the concerns I've heard from them is they don't feel that they have a voice. And I think that's one of the things through communication we can improve.
Thank you, Mike. Andy, your question?
Just to kind of add to some of the comments up here, over this last term, for the first time, our community is able to access all of our board records online. There's complete transparency. When I first started on the board, it arrived, someone would deliver a paper packet about that thick, and I would get to read that over the weekend. But that is now available. That's a huge communication plus that's occurred. We've enacted 70 board briefs that go out to staff in the school district. As we've grown to almost 9,000 kids and over 1,000 teachers, 1,000 staff members, that's a way of communicating what happens at the board table other than board minutes. We've had 20 public online surveys. We've implemented an emergency notification system so that parents or staff members can receive a text immediately. That never existed. That's a huge plus. When Advanced Ed, which is one of the accreditation companies, came in, they quoted, "The district has created a system of communication with the community stakeholders that is pervasive," and gave our district the highest rating available. We can improve. We've had a plan now in place for 3 or 4 years that's made huge leaps and bounds. And I'm committed to working with the teachers that are talking to some of the challengers to make that even better. The list goes on. Iowa Schools Public Relations Association came and did an audit. It gave us 10 state awards in 7 different categories for the communication enhancements that's occurred. We've received 2 national awards on June 15th, 2011 by the National Schools Public Relations Association for our branding and vision and strategic plan that we put forward, as well as our district website. I want to make one comment. Let's talk about clear and complete information, which I think is critical.
We're going to have to wait for that comment. Thank you, Andy.
Stay on your seats.
On the edge of our seat. Okay, Dustin, your thoughts about communication.
Okay, I'm going to answer this a little bit differently, guys. I know a lot of people up here have talked about communication. What does it mean? Communication, I believe, is a two-way street. If it's not a two-way street, it's just a presentation, right? So I think you guys are really asking for communication. Not only should we let you know what's going on with the schools and what our plans are, we want your feedback. And if you want some feedback, if you want to have your voice heard, I'm asking you for your vote, because that's what I'm going to be committed to. I know that there used to be a committee that was devoted to meeting with the community, with the board and the administration, and that used to exist. It doesn't exist now. And I think you got to think about that and say, why does that raises my eyebrows? But why would you want to do that? We need to make sure that we have our ear to your guys' mouth to know exactly what your needs are, what your desires are, because you guys have probably got some great ideas, and we want to work together. That's my goal. I also want to make a statement as well. I think I made it clear that I support a two high school system, and after I made that comment, I know there's some more discussion contrary to that. And they also asked me about who supports you. And again, just reminding you guys that the Ankeny Education Association supports me. That's my supporters. You guys are my supporters. You guys are the ones that have asked me to run because you are ready for a change. And finally, if I get elected, what my goal is, I have 5 goals, I talked about those, I'll add a 6th, okay? I want to take the politics out of what's going on. Now we have 7 people up here right now, and I think it's been clear that I haven't attacked any single one of them. I would rather spend my energies attacking the issues that we have right now, and let's take an honest assessment of where we're at, and what does it take for us to move forward, and move forward wisely.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. And that concludes our comments about communication. I'm going to move now to a question that we got from the audience. There's some preparatory remarks, so bear with me. We moved recently to Ankeny from a very challenged school district. In fact, we chose Ankeny because of the quality of this district. Explain the one, it's underlined twice, explain the one thing that sets you apart from the other candidates to assure me that we made the right choice. And Leslie, this will be your question first.
I'm going to go first on the hard one. One thing that sets me apart, I don't know that it sets me apart, but I do what I say I'm going to do, and I'm stealing this quote from Trent. Do what I say I'm going to do. And there was a second part to that too, I'll let him finish it, I guess. Say what I'm going to do what I say. I don't know what I do, apparently. So anyways, I'm committed to doing what I say that I'm going to do. I'm not here for politics. As I said, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here for the great pay. I have a passion for doing what's right for the community. I'm dedicated. And if you like the direction of the school district, then I think you should support me.
Thank you, Leslie. Brad, one thing that sets you apart.
I think the thing that would set me apart is that I have a strong desire to seek out what the community desires as far as a direction. And not only do I want to seek out and find out what the direction is, I intend to adhere to the direction that's presented to me.
Okay, thanks, Brad. Mr. Johnson.
I think the thing that sets me apart, I guess, is I had it in my head and I lost it. Where'd it go? We are committed, I am committed to education. Everything that I have done that includes having to raise the taxes, having to work through some of these tough issues, and to answer emails at all times of the day, is because I am committed to academic excellence. I am committed to student achievement. That's what this has all been about. It's about student achievement. That is what I've been committed to. That is why I've had to make the hard decisions that I've had to make.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Mike.
I would like to be a sounding board for the community and the teachers and bring that voice to the board in a very clear manner that is not biased by any outside thoughts, and being very clear that I am an independent person in my thought process, not trying to bring forth anything on an agenda or in a group. I am one vote, one person, and that is what I bring to the table.
Andy.
Scribbled off about 3 different lines and changed my mind several times. When I ran for the board, some teachers at Southeast Elementary that I talked to that taught my kids and I trusted, one of them turned to me and said, "Andy, you will always do what's right." And I've always remembered that. A second turning point since I've been on the board is when I spent the better part of a year when Dr. Mutchler left and we had an interim superintendent, Dr. Stalker. And we had a 50-plus community committee that worked for that year to design a 10-year plan that was very controversial. A person that worked for the school district came to me and said, "Andy, this is why you were elected to the board." And I believe that. I'm going to share a couple things personal. I have been unemployed since last November, and I wouldn't change one vote because it's what is right. And I will stay in this community. I've turned down job offers to leave. That won't happen. And I've even done what's right when it's not best for my family, and if my wife is out there, she will smile because I've had many conversations where she wanted something else and I didn't do it. That's what you'll get from me on the board, even when it's a tough decision, controversial decision. And no, I don't play politics with these decisions, but we do need to correct facts as we go along. That's not politics.
Thank you, Andy. Dustin, the one thing that sets you apart.
Sure. What sets me apart is exactly what I said the last time. I want to take the politics out of the decision making and get back to what's the best decisions for the kids, what's the best decisions for the community. I want to take the politics out between some of these people that we have up here tonight. As I've continued to run my campaign above board attacking issues, I've had other incumbents calling businesses saying that demanding that they tear my sign down is going to boycott their business. And I've never done anything like that. And instead, I focus on the issues, continue to meet with teachers, parents, and see what are the issues. That's where I want to spend my energies. There's also been other incumbents that have cut my signs down. And again, I want to focus on attacking the issues, listening to you guys, and working together with you to make sure that our future is even brighter.
Thank you, Dustin. Trent, you will close it out.
Talk about attack. It's nice when people illegally put stuff up and then, no, I don't call the police. I don't do that when I don't realize really. So I appreciate that. The other thing is, what sets me apart is 10 years of a track record. I'm an open book. I've sat on policy committees, finance committees, SIAC committees, Chamber of Commerce Ed committees, Chamber of Commerce Public Relations committees. I'm a certified teacher, or was a certified teacher. I have a master's in education. I own a small business. It's went from 1 employee to about 20. As far as all the different places I've been, Des Moines Partnerships, legislative coffees, and monitored those and been privy to all those. All the time I spend on a daily basis in our community, between going to Rotary meetings, between going to chamber meetings, between going to school board meetings, I think that anybody that's sitting up here that says they're set themselves apart, I think I've spent my entire career working on behalf of public education in order to maintain a balance, and I say a balance, between what we're paying and what we're giving. And sometimes those things move back and forth. But I think overall, it wasn't the kids' choice to be here at this time in our career. When I grew up in Monterey, it wasn't my choice to be educated during the farm crisis. So all those things come into play that I think sets me apart. I am endorsed by the Teachers Association. I don't think we can use endorsement, they're not a PAC group. But I've never not been recommended in the years I've ran it. So I think giving all those things, I would ask for a lot of you to go out and vote. I would ask for you to vote for me. And lastly, I'd just like to say thank you, because of all the years, the most people have spent time sitting and talking to me in my office or at coffees were people that were angry with me about a decision.
Okay.
And I thank you for coming out and talking and helping me with those.
Thank you. Some of you may be wondering why we chose the order we did. And Brad might be wondering, since he's going to get the last chance to answer a question first. We decided to do it alphabetically, and I was put in charge of that. So, finally, thank you. Okay, with that in mind, we're going to talk, the final prepared question is about academic achievement, which I've heard many of the candidates say is the reason we're here. So a fine question to possibly end on. Student achievement is important. What specific changes would you make to improve student achievement? And I think the second part of the question is important. How would you fund those changes? So Brad, you'll be first.
I think probably the quickest way and the cheapest way to increase student achievement is to focus on the teachers. Make sure they have everything they need from a non-material standpoint, make sure that they're being listened to, make sure that there's a dialogue between the teachers and the administration, and help them feel engaged within the plans that are implemented and that they're required to implement. I think that the teachers should have more input into the decisions that are made as far as curriculum and how the curriculums are utilized on an ongoing basis. And I think that raising teacher morale will help the teaching experience with our kids.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Aaron?
Well, I think the good news is that we have great momentum, with student achievement at some all-time highs. But obviously we can't rest there. We need to continue to strive for 100% proficiencies and make sure that both our challenged learners and our accelerated learners are not lost in the fray earlier, as we discussed earlier. Student achievement is measured, as an individual. It's, as much as possible, we should continue to grow and maximize our use of technology, whether that's for independent study or distance learning. We need to continue to maximize our external resources like DMAC or our other universities. And then also we need to work closely with parents to help them because they understand their children best and what they need best. And so I think we can improve and continue to accelerate. And that part's free, just asking a parent, I do also think that we, it's not just facilities that we plan for, it is curriculum that we also plan for. And our curriculum instruction team has a great program that we're working towards, and we continue to implement that as we move forward.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Mike, your thoughts on academic achievement?
I guess first and foremost, you've already heard it, is focus on the teachers. Number two, which I don't have an answer for yet, and I don't think anybody here says that they would say that they do, would be to lower class sizes. That's more one-on-one attention. It makes a better learning experience for the child all the way through. And I think those are the two most important parts to attack any goal that you have of improving a student's achievement.
Okay, Andy.
A couple of things that came to mind. We had a chance earlier to talk about specific programs and things. The number one thing is that we need to listen to the experts that are in our school district. They're the ones that know how to do this. They know the results. We approve from a governance perspective what needs to be accomplished. That they must put together the plan, craft it, bring it forward, get the board approved, and that's what we need to do. We need to stay out of their way. I'm a business guy. I am not an expert in the education field. I've learned a lot over the last 7 years, but not nearly like our staff does. One thing I've learned, I took several training programs through the years at the National School Boards Association, the Iowa Association of School Boards. They have courses on 21st century skills where the businesses, communities have put forward what skills are needed beyond testing. We do a great job tracking testing. Some of those skills that were identified: leadership, teamwork, collaboration, problem solving, technology, global awareness, are critical for kids when they graduate. Those things have to be integrated into the classroom. I think that is definitely an area that's on the radar screen. It's already occurring, and we need to continue to track that. It changes. What kids need now is different than when I graduated in the 80s, and is much different than people who graduated in the 50s. We must evolve. How we're going to pay for it? Monitor progress, track results, prioritize the best, most impactful programs, and focus our attention there. We can't continue to add additional work without removing something off of their plate. And the results will speak for themselves, and that will help set our priorities based on results.
Thank you, Andy. Dustin, your question about academic achievement.
What I focus on in order to improve student achievement is that we need to do an honest assessment of where our kids are at right now, look at the deficiencies, and then fix those deficiencies, and just look at it from a non-biased point of view. I think that we do have that. We do have that with some of the No Child Left Behind information. and we look at what our goals have been, and if we see that we're only meeting our goals 3 out of 7 times, then I think those other 4 out of the 7 4 out of the 7 other subjects is what we need to focus our attention on. And so how do we do that then? As I've talked about, we've increased our budget, quite a bit the last 5 years. You guys know that. We're not going to talk about that again. But the class size has also increased 20%. And I think that we need to reprioritize where our money's being spent so that we can have a smaller learning environment. According to an article that was just in the Des Moines Register, we looked at the benefit of a smaller class size. So that's where we need to put our money at to make sure that our kids have an opportunity for achievement, and so they have an opportunity to spend more time with their teachers on things that they don't understand. The teacher's there to teach, and if they're in a classroom with 30 kids, they can't possibly get to all the different kids. I understand that there's associates, but last year we lost 17 teachers and 11 associates. Our class sizes are increasing. That would be my priority, to make sure that we have the teachers that are there and that they are being supported and that they can be able to teach in a positive environment so our kids can continue to achieve.
Thank you, Dustin. Trent, your question on academic achievement.
I think when you ask that question, you have to ask yourself, what is student achievement? Currently, we're looking at grades. Is that student achievement? Because my daughter, when she comes to me and says I have a B or an A, that's how she measures her student achievement. The classes that she's taking are just unreal. When you're a sophomore taking biology, chemistry, and some other classes, honors, AP, Lits, and all those classes, at that level, they had to be prepared to be there. Taking trig, calculus at lower levels than what I ever took them, tells me that we are pushing our curriculum up, which is to me what student achievement will be about. We can't leave the kids behind. The climate, the culture, and the curriculum are the 3 things I always watch. Class size is paramount to that climate. When we had a failed bond issue, and a lot of the signs of the challengers in the same spots that said, do not vote for education in elementaries. That created a ripple effect in our climate and our culture. And it also pushed our curriculum. Everybody in here will agree class size is important. Class sizes is probably one of the most important things to develop good kids, in my opinion. I was a high school teacher when I had 31, 32 kids back in the 90s. In Arizona, I had 32, 35 kids in my class. And high school teachers are dealing with 180 kids a day, and elementary teachers are dealing with 28. So class sizes is always on the horizon. Will we lose some efficiencies? Of course. Will we spend more money? Yes. Will the tax rate go down? Guaranteed. We are in the best time in the district's history to position ourselves for the next 20 years. And I'm happy that student achievement will be number 1 on that priority, because we've already taken care of the facilities issue that will allow us to get there.
Well timed, Mr. Murray. Okay, Leslie, you will close the discussion on academic achievement.
Academic achievement, if I had one thing that I'd like to see happen immediately, that's foreign language at the elementary level. That's when they're sponges, that's when they can learn, and that's very much in line with 21st century skills. Class size seems to be a hot topic. I would tell you the 6 years that I've been on the board, we have a governance policy over class size. That policy's not changed. That policy's not been updated. We are adhering to it. So to say that class size is too high means we need to change board policy. So if I get reelected, obviously that is something that we need to look at. You've got to determine how do you fund that then. So even introducing foreign language at the elementary level or changing class size, that all comes with a cost. And how do you fund it? It's really just ensuring appropriate allocation of resources. We have to manage a tax rate that fits with our community, and I think every community is different. I think Ankeny is willing to support education of kids in the right ways, and so we need to find that balance.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. What we're going to do now, that will conclude the formal questions. I'm going to, as your moderator, make it my personal business And with that in mind, I would like to give each of the candidates, and Aaron, you're going to go first. Be ready. Each of the candidates, Sarah, let's do 90 seconds. Each of the candidates, one last opportunity to give you their parting shots and their closing arguments about why they believe they deserve your support for school board this year. And Aaron, you will be first.
Say that again, please.
This is just your last chance to make your case about why you deserve the support of the community for school board this year.
Well, I think I mean, just be repeating myself. I'm committed to the excellent plan that we have. I'm committed to making improvements that we can. I'm committed to my community. I've grown to love this community over 11 years that my wife and I've been here. And I just look at, okay, what have we done over the last 3 years? We've worked hard to transition this community into 2 high schools, something that hasn't been done in the state of Iowa for almost 40 years. It's a lot of hard work, and there's been some bumps along the way, and we've got 2 more years to go before it's done. And I am wholly committed to keeping our student achievement going up as we split our community high schools into 2, Centennial Jaguars and the Hawks. I think that's the primary thing that I would add.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Mike.
Thank you for your time tonight. I know it's a nice Sunday night out, so thank you again for coming. If you look at my points again, I want to focus on teachers, classroom size, and do it in a fiscally responsible way. With that in mind, I think it says a lot to be endorsed by the Ankeny Education Association. Not endorsed, I'm sorry. Recommended, like Trent said, they're not back. But when you look at things, what I've learned is I've never been involved in politics, and I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that each of us are responsible for the decisions that have been made over the last few years. And you need to go online, look, and get educated. Don't listen to rumors. Don't listen to rumors as a whole. And to address, I guess, one political thing, don't look at where my signs are out on the main roads. If you see my sign in a neighborhood, more than likely, that sign was put up yesterday. We have not had any signs out until yesterday. If you go knock on that door and ask that person why that sign's in their yard, they're going to know why. And I think they're going to be my best advocate to explaining why, or just call me and ask me personally. But get educated on all the points, and I think that'll help you make the best decision that you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Andy.
I think when you consider who to vote for on September 13th, I have some questions that I think you should consider. If academic results are outstanding and getting stronger, then why do we need to change the board leadership and the plans being implemented? If the tax rate is going down to 2008 levels within the next 6 months, and we get all of these amenities that we've been able to accomplish, then what is the problem? If class size is being addressed by this board since we joined by adding 5,000 seats of capacity, and almost all of our money went to classroom, why are we even considering a change? If we're one of the most efficient spending school districts already, then what do we want to cut further? And how would that affect academic results? You don't hear those answers up here. And that is, we already have a plan. I've heard challengers say at the last forum the district leadership needs to change. They were quoted in the Ankeny Patch. I asked why, and I still haven't heard it. They've asked why. They've stated at the last forum that the tax rate decrease is not realistic. Then what are they trying to accomplish there? You still did not hear a commitment tonight of what they're going to deliver in tax reduction. I want to hear it. At the last forum, the residents are not being heard. They stated that residents weren't being heard when it comes
Andy,
to
you
the direction of
mentioned
the school district.
Close it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Dustin, your closing thoughts.
Sure, yeah, go ahead and, oops. Sorry about that. To go ahead and sum it up, I'll just refocus on those 5 reasons that I'm running. I would echo what Leslie's saying. I'm not running for this position because I want to find something to do with my extra time. No, I'm running because I'm concerned about the direction of the school district. And I have 3 little girls that are just entering the system right now. I want to make sure that we have a good future for them and also consider some of the other people in this city that don't have kids in school as well. But number 1, focus on student achievement. You know, the numbers are there. We need to make sure that we're doing that. How do we do that? I can commit to you today that if I'm elected, I'll focus my dollars on the student achievement, focus the budget dollars on the student achievement. As we've seen the class sizes grow, we've seen no additional dollars spent that way, but rather being taken away to not make the class sizes smaller. Number 2, focus on our teachers and support staff. They're with your children and our children every day for 7 hours a day, impacting them. We want to make sure that they're supported. Number 3, spend responsibly. I won't revisit the tax issue. You guys know what it is. Number 4, improve that relation and communication. It's a 2-way street between the community and the school district. And number 5, as we transition to a 2 high school system, we're at a crossroads where we have the potential to have our community split apart. My expertise and teamwork will be devoted to making sure that our community comes back together and stays together. And I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you, Dustin. Trent, your closing thoughts.
Just in closing, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to my wife for putting up with me for the last 10 years while I did this, and being a good teacher and a good coach and a good mother. I'd also like to say thank you to those teachers who've taken care of my kids. You see them sometimes more than I do, especially now they're teenagers and one can drive. I'd like to say I apologize for the first 5 years. You know, the first 5 years we were on the board, we didn't have a plan, and I was part of that. We didn't keep the tax rate and build cash reserves, which put us in a bad situation a couple of years ago. I thought at that time it was important that the school didn't have a savings account, that the money went back into the taxpayer's pocket and kept in their savings account. And I think that at that time that was a bad plan. I'd like to say thank you to the new administration over the last 3 years for putting that plan in place and giving us guidance, because we are not teachers. Some of us used to be. We're not educators by trade. We are community members, we are parents, and that's what we do. So of all the things I'd like to say, I'd just like to say thank you. I'd like to apologize for anywhere we failed. And I'd also ask for your vote, because I want to fulfill the commitment that I made when I started this 10 years ago.
Thank you, Trent. Leslie, your closing thoughts.
Our school system is the key driver as to why people come to Ankeny. Does that indicate there's a need for change? ACT scores continue to improve. 23.7, we just got that information Monday night, compared to 22.3, which is the state average, and 21.1 that is the national. Does that indicate there's a reason for change? Most of our National Merit Scholarship finalists, 4 of them this last year. Does that indicate there's a need for change? 3 straight years have increased overall ITBS and ITED achievement scores. Does that indicate there's a need for change? 13,000 DMAC college credits earned by AHS students last year. Does that indicate there's a need for change? A commitment to reducing the school property tax levy and not only following through on the promise, but reducing by $1.27 this fiscal year, which is 40% higher than projected. Does that indicate there's a need for change? Now is not the time for change. It's easy to sit in the cheap seats and throw darts. We are on the right track. I promise to keep the momentum going. I have a passion to ensure success for all kids. I would like to take this opportunity to ask for your vote, your trust, and your support for the next 4 years. I have not and do not support any political or special interests beyond working to ensure we provide the best opportunities for the kids in Ankeny. We must ensure their success today to ensure their success in the future. And just as an FYI, I was recommended by the Teachers Association as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Brad, you will get to close the show.
You get the last word?
You do.
Dustin's numbers are right and Trent's are wrong. I'm kidding. I'm just excited about the opportunity to get a seat on the school board. I'm excited about the opportunity to gather direction from the community as a whole, and from that voice, act upon it in the way that the community, the majority of the community would desire.
Okay, thank you, Brad. A few final thoughts then before we turn you loose. I want to thank the Ankeny school system for allowing us to use this remarkable facility. I believe we are we the first event that occurred here in this building? So that's, you guys were part of history. So that's a good thing. It's a remarkable facility. I'd actually never stepped foot inside a high school before, but this one seems really nice. I have a confession to make. I like democracy. Somebody really smart one time said, and I don't know who it was because I didn't pay attention in school, but somebody really smart one time said, it's the worst form of government we have until you compare it to every other form of government. And we got to witness democracy tonight. It is inevitably raw. It requires disagreement, and it requires an engaged and informed citizenry. So I want to congratulate and thank all of you who attended, and all of our candidates who I think did a superb job. On your way out, if you're interested, there will be absentee ballot request forms available on the tables as you exit. I wanted to remind everybody that there is a ribbon cutting and open house scheduled to occur here at the high school on Sunday, August 28th, between 1 and 4 p.m. And I believe they're doing tours of this high school and the Southview Middle School as well, and a ribbon cutting ceremony for Ankeny High School at 3. Also, there is one other scheduled school board debate of which I am aware. That will be the Ankeny Chamber of Commerce debate. It is scheduled for Wednesday, August 31st at 6:30 p.m. This says in the Ankeny High School Auditorium, 1155 Southwest Cherry Street. If you'd like to submit questions in advance for that event, you can email J. Cooper, that's just the letter J. Cooper, at ankeny.org. And again, I thank you all for attending.